Hey, it's Seto Kaiba, and you're watching Anime Egotists. I don't know why. These guys don't know how to duel, unless they learned from Yugi, who cheats, or maybe Joey, who's a dog. Oh, why don't you have some more jelly donuts, like Brock, and maybe you'll get better. Not. Oh, and I play my Blue Eyes White Dragon and kick your butts.
And welcome back to the Anime Egotists, where we have the power to both save and probably destroy the anime world. Anyways, my name's Alex, and overall, depending on what my life is like in anime, I probably wouldn't want to stay there.
Yeah, these worlds can be kind of fucked up.
And I have to put the expletive thing up now. But anyways, you got Richard there, and I was hoping to avoid that. But the thing is, there are a lot of anime worlds that we would like to live in. And no, this is not a rerun. This is another sequel video because we've done videos about the best and worst anime worlds to live in. It doesn't hold up great.
Yeah, it was one of our very early on videos. Go back and watch it though.
Go for it, sure, why not? But we want to do a sequel, and it's not the only sequel videos that we plan to do, and we're also not completely running out of ideas, so don't think that's the case either, mostly. But a lot of anime worlds just don't seem like they'd be that much fun to deal with, like whether it's dangerous, scary, or in some cases for me, just boring, because I talked about a couple that would just be straight up boring for me last time, but just a lot of worlds that I wouldn't want to spend too much time in.
Yeah, a lot of these worlds that I have, if you're not either in the main cast or have something to do with plot relevance, you're probably dead, is going to be my word for it.
Yep. But we're here to talk about it. But this time split up into two videos because last time it was a bit confusing. So this time we're going to talk about more anime worlds that we wouldn't want to live in. Do you want to start us off?
Sure, I'll go first. So I can't remember if this anime was actually out yet when we made the original video, but Fire Force.
Okay.
So pretty much the whole premise of the show, that as far as what I've seen, which is like part of season 2, is that spontaneous human combustion can occur. And you pretty much get, that happens, you're turned into like a demon pretty much, and you're on fire and you're pretty much suffering, but also a demon pretty much. It's really, really fucked up. I mean, the first few seconds of this anime is a train where this guy just all of a sudden spontaneously combusts, and it's just the idea of there being a chance that you just spontaneously combust one day. It doesn't sound nice.
Yeah, on the other hand, though, it was written by the same person who did Soul Eater, so I'd like to think that maybe I could go universe hopping. But on the other hand, though, just the idea. Here's the thing. I agree to an extent, but at the same time, there are a couple of times, from what I've seen, is like, maybe it would be worth it, just hang out with everybody and just stopping all this madness, but at the same time, I'm like, maybe it wouldn't be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, if you have pyrokinetic powers, I think you get away without any chance of you spontaneously combusting, but if you're just a regular civilian, then that's kind of where I feel you're screwed. And from what I've seen, it can pretty much happen to anyone. And there's terrorists who can trigger the explosions. So yeah, it's
Yeah, sad. Yeah, I guess I have to co-sign then. Although part of me thinks I could at least survive a week. If I can survive I feel like a week would be the best I could do.
I don't know how season 2 ends, so I don't know if it gets worse or better or what's going on. So up to where I've seen in season 2, they're releasing insects that literally trigger people to spontaneously combust. So yeah, that's my main concern with this world.
Yeah, and I will co-sign on to that. So my first one.
Go right ahead.
All right, this is going to be a little bit of a shock to you, but the disastrous life of Psyche K.
Okay.
All right, let's think about this. As much as it's kind of like what I said with Konosuba last time. the characters are good characters, but they're not necessarily people I want to spend that much time with. Like you have somebody who's really stupid. You got a delinquent or two running around, a jerk of a rich guy, a girl who's super stuck up, even though apparently once you know her true nature, you can't fall for her spell. But then Teruhashi would be bothering me the whole time. Like, why aren't you falling for me? And I would just straight up say, it's because you're stuck up. Go away. Hey, but the worst part of all of this is you might be thinking, oh, well, it'd be cool to be friends with Psyche because he has his powers and everything, right? I'm like, no, not really, because he hates using them, and also, he's a psychic. He can read your mind. I don't want somebody reading my mind 24/7. That would I would not, in all seriousness, I would not be able to trust somebody like that. It's so low on the list, though, because I do enjoy the characters, but they're not people who would want to hang out with on a regular basis.
It'd be one of those worlds. Okay, I can universe hop in there for a day, and then I'll move on for a little while. Maybe come back later to enjoy a coffee jelly with Psyche.
Yeah, exactly. Not to mention, and I've spoken before about how I appreciate fourth wall breaks and all that other sorts of stuff. Of sometimes the jokes would just get too much for me. I'm like, guys, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. And they're like, we're just following the script. I'm like, I mean, I guess that's fair. But not to mention, you guys are talking way too fast for me. Slow it down, speak it, switch to the English stuff, whatever. But I don't know. Oh, it's not the craziest answer, but at the same time, a lot of the characters could get on my nerves, and I don't want my mind read all the time. He'd have to shut that down for me, but we all know he wouldn't.
I can co-sign on to that. Yeah, the idea of mind reading and the characters are so exaggerated, I guess is the right term, of their one character uh or one major characteristic. So yeah, that just okay, great. You're the pretty girl. Okay, that's all you really are. Okay,
Yeah.
moving on.
Yeah, but then her fan base would come after me, and I mean like the characters in the show who are obsessed with her, and other people just walk away. I would just be like, let's do this. I got some time to waste, but that would lead to more issues. But overall, Psyche K, not my first option.
Yeah, I can understand, and I'll co-sign on to that one.
Okay,
All right, my next one.
go for it.
So I'm gonna put Star Blazers and Space Battleship Yamato on this list.
I don't know. I figured this would be on the other list, but okay.
Well, the main reason is that the entire first season, like 98% of the Earth's population's been decimated by planet bombs, and radiation is slowly seeping in. There's shortages on everything, and oh wait, that's just normal Earth right now. Oh, never mind.
I was about to say that sounds like Fallout.
No, but in all honesty, the Earth's pretty much coming to an end. If you're the last great hope for humanity, the Star Blazers, the Space Battleship Yamato, whatever it's called in whichever version you've watched, once they leave Earth's solar system, you have no idea where they're actually at. So you have, and whether they're still alive. If they really do all die, the Earth's just done. I mean, it's one of those things. If you're just a civilian in this world, it's just terrifying. And then when they do come back, like a year or two later, there's another galactic big incident with the Comet Empire coming to kill everybody.
At this point, I would, if I was in this world, I'd be like, you know what? We had a good run. Let's just give up and die.
No, but in all honesty, the fear that, I mean, when the Star Blazers leave the planet, the radiation's at like this level. It's dropped like 10 more levels by the time they get back, and it's like the last 2 or 3 levels that can hold all of humanity. Otherwise, people will start just dying because they can't all fit in the new areas.
Yeah, but didn't you also tell me there was like a red guy and a blue guy and all, like, because I think I made like a Power Rangers joke about it or something, and you said there's a red guy, there's a blue guy. Hey, wouldn't you want to be one of those people, or just like a new color or something like that?
I mean, if you're on the spaceship, yes, but I'm thinking more of like just a regular civilian or someone who doesn't get to go on the Yamato. It's just, yeah, that's the part that's.
You always
Like,
have the worst case scenario for these worlds to live in, I'm noticing. And the worst part is you use it on me too, because I said, oh, I'd love to live in the Black Clover world. And you'd be like, Gordon wouldn't like you very much. I'm like, okay, fine, I guess.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but okay.
Well, it hurts. It hurts that you don't think I can be a good friend to people. It hurts. Even though you're speaking on multiple years of experience, so I guess I can't blame you for that.
No, in all honesty, I think you'd be too good. He'd just get freaked out, and that's the main issue.
Oh, sure, that's what it is. But space battleship, yeah. But would Captain? I feel like you, based on everything you've told me, you would be very loyal to like Captain Okita. But at the same time, based on everything you've told me, I don't know. I don't know if it would work out. But I'm also thinking, how would I do in this world? I'm like, I wouldn't do too well. Just put me on the Orville or something else. Not don't put me here.
Yeah, it's mostly because the world's pretty much ending, and you'd have no idea. So that's the end of that one, I think.
Yeah, I can co-sign. So my next one,
Go right ahead.
Persona 5.
Okay.
All right. So here's the thing. We've talked about this trope a little bit before, but the trope of everybody, like the classmates, the extra characters, the characters who don't have names and everything. And we talk about how like the people in the village in Naruto were just horrible people, or the people in Black Clover were
Mhm.
just horrible. If I'm not a member of the Phantom Thieves, I'm stuck with all these other people, and they are just so obnoxious. I can't handle it. Not to mention, if I don't get the powers of everybody else, if I don't get a persona or the ability to go into the metaverse, etc., I don't really feel all that special, and it wouldn't really matter that much. And I'm also thinking about this from the perspective, the the idea of I'm part of the Phantom Thieves. There are like 9 or 10 Phantom Thieves if we include Royal, which sure we might as well. I don't like hanging out with that many people. Like let's cut like half of you out. As much as I like them, I'd be like I'm not hanging out with like 10 other people in the group or something like that. That's too many. We have a group of 6 friends, and I think that's too much. I think we should like cut like 2 of them. But in all honesty, another problem for me is I do my best to be very independent. I don't necessarily hate group. Okay, I do hate group work, but I like doing stuff on my own a lot. And if we were to do missions, it'd be like, oh, let's all work together to do this. I'm like, or you go there, you go there. We split up into groups or something like that. But no, like 10 people gathered around each other or in a palace. I don't know. Just not to mention also, I feel like the idea of the protagonist, Joker or Ren or whatever you want to call him, as much as I like him, at the same time, I would be like, I can handle myself. Like, I respect your leadership and everything, but I got this. And if I didn't, they'd be like, oh, so you're an enemy. I'm like, no, we just have slightly different ways of doing things. It's no hard feelings or anything, but that's basically my thing about it.
I'm trying to remember. I mean, and there could be issues where if you ended up with a what is it? Is it your shadow? Is that what it is in this one, or is that Persona 4 I'm thinking of?
The persona is basically your inner personality. Shadows are things you fight.
Well, I meant like if you're not part of the
The Phantom
uh
Thieves.
Phantom Thieves, yeah. They're you could end up having your like one of your darker elements so enhanced by that as
Oh
well.
dang, that's a good point. That's actually a really good point. And here's the thing: in the end, they might be able to save me, but at the same time, I don't know. Too many things have to go right for me to, and that's kind of my thing. Like so many things just have to go right. Don't get me wrong, I get along with the good majority of them, but at the same time, I just be like, there's too many of us. Can we let you go? We'll talk later. I don't know. Oh, it's a
Mhm.
weird reasoning, but like I said, so many things would just have to fall into place. They said it
Exactly.
wouldn't be worth it in the end.
Yeah, I can co-sign onto that. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. If there's too many people, I get like, okay, I'm gonna go sit in the corner and wait.
Yep. Although I would love to learn how to make coffee and curry, so maybe it would be a good idea.
All right, so my next one. So this one, I've seen most of this one. It's Serif of the End.
Okay.
I don't know how much you know of the actual story of this
Very
one.
very little.
So pretty much there's a group of vampires that release a plague on humanity that kills all adults. I don't know what the actual age is, but at a certain point, all adults are dead. So more than likely, I think I'm already dead based on my age.
It's
But
like a really dark version of the Jimmy Neutron movie.
yeah, and it's gruesome because I think if I remember correctly, their heads pretty much explode or something like that, or there's blood leaking out of. And
Good
then
God.
okay, so say I'm a kid instead in this world. Now I'm just being used as a food source. I'm literally a blood bank for the vampires. That's like my whole purpose. There's resistant movement that's trying to form with people in their like late teens, early 20s, I think, if I remember correctly. But it's just the idea of everyone dying over a certain age and then yeah, it's and then being food pretty much and having to fight pretty much monsters because they're much supposed to be much stronger than everybody else than regular humans. So
Yeah. To be completely honest, I've never really been a huge like vampire fan. Like I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the Twilight. Maybe it's just all my years of seeing stuff from Twilight. But at the same time, I don't know. Even if I was a vampire, like they said, you want to be in here? You could be a vampire. I'd be like, no. I'd rather be like a wolf or like a tiger or something like that. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's fun to be a vampire anyway.
I mean, it's a little bit different than like the normal. There's no. It's more they just suck blood and that gives them like superpowers and regenerative powers. But yeah, and then like a best friend turning into a vampire. Yeah, there's a lot in this show, and I never actually finished it, but it's dark and the world's bleak, and you live in like pretty much camps and cities that are they've attempted to rebuild. So
Jeez, all your worlds are so depressing so far.
they don't get much better.
Oh goodness, but yeah, I guess I co-sign because like, yeah, it wouldn't be a fun time.
No, no.
All right, so my next one,
Go right ahead.
I maybe we've mentioned this anime before on the channel, but I don't think we've talked about it extensively as something on our list. Hunter x Hunter, and yes, I'm saying Hunter x Hunter, not Hunter x Hunter. Just get over it.
Okay, you'll have to kind of explain this one.
Okay, so on the one hand, you might be thinking to yourself, "Oh, why wouldn't you want to be a hunter? Or like you could get your hunter's license and you can go off and pretty much do whatever you want." Here's the thing: the first part, where they're getting their licenses and they all have to go on these races and climbing up all these buildings and stairs and stuff like that, it's exhausting. It's kind of too much work for all of this. At least in stuff like Naruto and stuff, like you start off small. You start off like, hey, you can't do this. Well, let's start you off basically. While the hunter's exam is prepare for like 3 years, then go off and do the hunter exam. Like at that point, I would have given up. Not to mention, I wouldn't say as cutesy as this anime seems, as like kind of almost normal as this anime seems, things get dark. Like the chimera ants in particular are flipping. Like I wouldn't be able to survive. Not to mention, I'm not going to say there are no characters I like, but it's one of those things where I feel like if I was part of the main group of Gon, Killua, not Hisoka at this point, Kurapika and Leorio, I would get sick of Gon and his nonsense and his borderline stupidity at times. I'd be like, okay, seriously, it's basic math. How are you not able to do this? But I don't know. The constant fear of death and violence, just some of the characters not being my favorite, and there's a creepy masochistic sadomasochistic clown running around. So I don't really know what I can do with that.
Yeah, I can kind of understand that, and the fact that I mean, an entire race of people was pretty much hunted to extinction for their eyeballs. That doesn't help in the matter either.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, and plus from a meta perspective, I'd also have to deal with the fact that my series would probably never end or ever come back. So I would just be stuck wherever I am for a good while, and like, oh well, a new chapter. Oh, 3 years later. Oh, we're still waiting, I guess. And I'm not making fun of the author's health or anything. I'm just noticing there are a lot of hiatuses.
Yeah, there's so much to this world. It almost feels too much. At least Naruto, Dragon Ball kind of stayed in their lane. Like, okay, this is what we're doing.
For the most part.
By comparison, I mean, if you think about it, okay, Dragon Ball is always about finding someone stronger to fight. There's always kind of a straight line for Naruto of what his goals were and how he's going to achieve them. They just kind of run all over the place in Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I got my hunter's license. Well, what are you gonna do with it? I thought that was it. I have to do more. Not worth it. Not worth it. Call me when the time skip happens.
Yeah, so I can co-sign. I've gotten to like the virtual reality or video game arc and then stopped watching. So
Yeah, I think you might be further than me, but at the same time, it. I don't know. I want to give it another chance, but it's just a matter of timing.
yeah, but I can co-sign it. It's a weird world with way too much, I feel.
Yeah. Anyways, what's your next one?
So this is one I've never seen more than like an episode or two of, but I just this one's kind of obvious. I think we may have mentioned it at one point during our last video, but not like actually as a numbered one. Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Okay.
So pretty much giant monsters are attacking the earth and you're stuck with your main hero being from my understanding an emo kid with daddy issues.
I mean, he's been through a lot, but at the same time, I'll never forgive him for that scene where Asuka's unconscious. I'm not going to say it because I like to try and keep this podcast at least PG-13. We're not PG by any means, but at the same time, yeah, yeah. Plus, to me, I feel like I would not be good at controlling robots.
No, and there's just so much to this world where it's like, okay, it's going to end. Okay, well, let's release 5 movies that switch back and forth whether the world's actually ending or not, and then whether humanity's extinct or not. And oh no, no, okay, whatever. That's what it feels like every time I hear that there's a new Neon Genesis movie or special that's being released.
Yeah, it would. Like I said before, it would get to the point where I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm done. Let's just like put me in, like just stab me or something, and we'll be good. Let's just get this over with.
Exactly. And as I said, with the giant monster things called angels attacking, it's like, okay, that's kind of freaky to call them angels, but okay. And
That's what you would be hung up on. It's like, yeah, if these things are trying to kill everybody and kill us, maybe we should give them a different name, and they would just look at you like, you know what? You go out, you fight them. I mean, you're just like, I'm good.
exactly. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like a good world to live in.
No, I mean, I like a couple of the characters, but that's not really enough to save it. But yeah, I can co-sign.
All right,
My next one,
go right ahead.
I hate talking about this show so much. School Days.
Okay.
All right, let's think about this. There are no supernatural powers or anything. There's really not any good characters. And I don't mean by, oh, they're not good as you. I don't just mean, oh, they're not written well. I just mean a lot of the characters aren't good human beings. If I'm just on the sidelines and I see all the cheating and the adultery and all this other stuff, I'm not going to get involved. I'll just be like,
You
ooh,
get
sucks to be
you,
you.
you get what you deserve.
Yep. Not to mention, just I hate everybody. This is more of a personal thing. I hate everybody in this show. The only character I want to be is the knife that they introduced in the last episode because we all know what happens in the last episode. But none of the characters are likable enough. They're all stupid. And even if like somebody tried hitting on me, I'm just like, no, no, Setsuna, go away, go away. Hey, like I'm not getting involved with this. Plus, even if it was a peaceful time, it's not. Let me put it this way: we talked before about how schools in anime seem fun, even if they're just regular schools with just regular people. It would just be boring. Like even after the events of the series or beforehand, like it's not fun. Plus, everybody's way too horny.
Yeah, and I always notice this whenever I see scenes from this. I mean, as I said, as you know, I've only seen like the first few episodes of this. I'm done with it after that, but it has such a gray world. Like it's so almost, I don't want to say realistic, but just the gray tones of everything make everything feel just a depressing world.
Yeah, even when they tell jokes, I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to laugh at that or not. So it would also be one of those cases of I can't be friends with any of you, like at all.
For knife is friend.
Yeah, yeah. Unless I get the Infinity Gauntlet and I could just start snapping people away. That would then I would go to that world. But overall, school days, nobody's likable enough for me to want to be there, and the world's just boring.
Yep, I'll co-sign it. The characters, and there's no one likable enough, and yeah, the world just doesn't seem right.
Yeah. Overall, though, is honorable mentions time?
Yes, it's honorable mentions time.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so my first honorable mention is Psychopaths.
Agreed.
Yeah, so the premise of this show is that they've developed I can't technology that pretty much reads people's emotions, and if you reach a certain level of how to put it, mental instability or emotional instability, they pretty much the police of the world get access to their guns to put you down before you commit any crimes.
Yeah. A world where the police are more of a main fixture in their world than in our world does not really sit that well for me. Not to mention, and it just seems like it'd be a very stressful job to have if you were a part of the group. Now, don't get me wrong, I like a good majority of the characters, but at the same time, I'm like, this isn't worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Give Psychopaths a chibi comedic series, and I'm all there for it. And I will be in that world, but not the main world itself. Now that I say
Yeah.
that, it'll probably happen.
Yeah, the other issue is that I mean, I've only seen a handful of episodes of this. I enjoyed them. I just never got around to finishing the series. And the number of characters that I remember being killed off who have had a crime committed against them, but that's caused their emotional stability to go down, which clears them to kill them for because they're about to commit a crime. It's like, wait, what? Like you're supposed to
Oh,
be coming to save this person, no, and you killed them. Okay.
is that much different from the real world right now?
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know anymore.
yeah, but I could agree. Psycho. I like the characters, but I like the characters enough that I'm fine with it being an honorable mention. But at the same time, I'm like, no, I can think of more fun ways of going out.
Yeah. So your next or your first honorable mention?
Okay, you're not going to have a whole lot to say about this, and you're going to be annoyed at me for saying this because it was on one of our lists last time we did this video. My Hero.
Okay.
Aren't you shocked that I have My Hero on one of my lists? Aren't you proud of me?
No, I can kind of understand, especially where they are now.
No, 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 no. You don't know the actual reason. Okay, so in all seriousness, if I'm just a random civilian, I'm kind of screwed.
That's more true now than you realize.
Yeah, and not to mention that for the more comedic aspect, I've been talking so much trash about these characters based on the show I've never seen before. I just do it to get back at people who do it to me. Hey,
Mhm.
I've been talking so much trash about some of these characters that I wouldn't be able to hold back. I'd be like, "Oh, what's your name? What's your hero name? Deku? Deku? Oh yeah, Yeah, you sound really interesting. What you gonna cry on me? Go take a walk. Yeah, this is my seat now. Oh, well, what's your name? I don't know how to pronounce that. And it's that. And I know you're sticking up for Deku and everything, but I don't really care. Go away, Mineta. You just suck. I don't like you. Tokoyami, I'm not gonna say anything bad about you. I actually like you. We should hang out. But I feel like the inner the inner jerk in me would take over, and I'd just start making fun of people, and it would not go well.
Yeah, I know this was on my list of worlds I would like to live in originally. Again, at that point, I was only following the anime and had, I think at that point, only seen through season 3 at this point. So, with everything that's happened since then, yeah, this, and now that I know I'm mostly caught up with the manga, it's, yeah, I can co-sign. This world gets really messed up, and there's a lot of things. And if you don't end up, if you're one of like the 20% of people that don't have powers, then yeah, you really are fucked.
Yeah, I would. There's a chance I might also make fun of some very beloved characters, and the fan base would crucify me for it.
Yeah, they're a large portion of the fan base are very attached to the show.
Yeah, and guys, I understand, and we can all have our own separate opinions. Just let me, if I'm in the show, just let me push my idea of a Deku Tokoyami ship, and we're good because they have all that chemistry, don't they?
I mean, like 4 seasons ago now.
Ah, yeah, but I would also just screw with so many things, with so many ships, just to see how people react to it. But you would have. But to be fair, you would also stop me most of the time. So maybe it would work out. But overall, just if I'm a civilian, and plus I've been so mean to people in the show. Oh, that it would not work out for me. I would not last long.
Yeah, I can co-sign that there are some definite reasons that this world is messed up now. So,
Yeah. But what's your next one?
so this one's a little weird because it's takes place in the past, but that's Demon Slayer.
I had a feeling this would actually be on your list. Oddly enough.
Yeah, I mean it is an alternate world because there's demons and all that, but it takes place pretty much in like industrial revolutionary era Japan. I don't remember what the actual era is supposed to be called. I know they mentioned it a few times, but yeah, it's the fact that there's a guy who could literally turn you into a demon just wandering around, but he could also send demons that are like 10 times stronger than you to pretty much just rip you apart and feast on your flesh. Yeah.
That's normal Wednesday for me.
Oh, joy. That's
Yeah,
good to
it,
know.
it's who's the character who screams a lot? Zen
Uh,
something?
well, there's Zenitsu, who's like the scaredy cat, and then
Him. That's what I was talking about.
yeah,
Would
and
you,
the fact
would you
that
get
he's
along with him at all?
I'd be like, dude, just go to sleep. You're much more powerful when you're asleep.
I hear he has a weird attachment to Nezuko, whatever the hell her name is.
Yeah, especially because when he first sees her, she comes out of the backpack thing as like a 5-year-old kid. I mean, she's older, but she changes her form to fit in her brother's backpack, pretty much.
Yeah, I'd say I'd have to call the police on that, but I don't know what the police are like in that world. So who knows? We'll call the people from Psychopaths. Maybe they can help.
God, that would really
So
mess this world up.
yeah, that'd be a very interesting anime crossover. But overall, I can co-side. Not to mention, just with it being that far in the past, we're all kind of hung up on technology right now. So
Mhm.
it'd be a bit of a culture shock to say the least.
Yeah, and the fact that these demons can fuse themselves with anything pretty much. Like one's turned themselves into a train, like an entire train.
I mean, to be fair, the cat in Persona 5 can turn itself into a car, so weirder stuff has happened. Okay, so my next one,
Yep, go right ahead.
and when I say original, I mean what we've watched. The first series of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Okay. Yeah, because if I remember correctly, the 5Ds and GX were on your one world you would want to live in.
Very good. But here's the issue. Here's the issue. Let's say you and I get to this universe and we start dueling people. The rules are look. We don't know the rules that well of Yu-Gi-Oh right now. Learning the old rules for the anime would not be fun. Like I know you use a machine deck. You really like machine based cards, but your opponent would activate a card and be like, oh well, I use this card that removes the special alloy from your machines and stuff like. It would be so frustrating to have to explain to these people that's not how any of this works. That's not how any of these rules work. It just would not be all that fun. Not to mention just the whole Merrick running around would not be fun to deal with, especially since I've said before how he's probably one of the worst, dumbest villains I've ever seen. There's just a whole lot that's not that fun about this place, and just I would be screaming half the time because I'm just like, this isn't how you play. This isn't how you play. Hey, plus just Taya's friendship speeches would get super annoying.
Yeah, well, there's also the fact that like you could be a random civilian and get challenged like every 5 minutes by someone in a hood to duel for your soul, pretty much.
And I'd be like, no, I don't have to accept every duel that I'm challenged to. No, it's like, so you forfeit. No, I just choose not to duel you. There's a difference.
You haven't even done the whole ritual thing that you have to do to actually steal my soul, so I'm out.
Yeah.
Peace.
Plus, people have motorcycles, but they don't duel on them. Like, what are you even doing?
Well, we didn't. Isn't it in season 4 where Mai invents dueling on motorcycles? She
Well,
throws her cards at people.
yeah, but that's not nearly as fun. That's not nearly as fun. Not to mention just I don't know the fact that they go to school that they actually have to go to school, but they don't learn anything about these card games, which just seems silly to me. And just I don't know. There are a lot of characters in the original Yu-Gi-Oh series who are just not people I want to hang out with. Like Joey's cool, Yuki's cool, Tristan and Taya. I could take them or leave them, but I like Kai. Like I get Kaiba and I would not get along.
That's great. I'd probably get along with Kaiba just because I'd probably be his, like one of his guys in a suit next to him. Here's your money, Kaiba.
Yeah, and I would just basically pull what Yugi did in the abridged series. Why don't you tell it to your mom? Oh, wait, that's right. Hey, I would just be horrible to Kaiba about it. I'm like, yeah, this is what you get for picking on Joey, old lovable Joey Wheeler.
No, but I can kind of understand not wanting to be in this world. At least, again, I haven't seen enough of 5Ds to really know how much is dueling for your own life and all that. In GX, there's a little bit of it, but there's also focuses on other things. So
Oh, there's so much. I've been rewatching GX lately, and there's an arc that just infuriates. It just makes me so mad upon rewatching it. But not the time, not the place. But anyways, the original Yu-Gi-Oh series, not necessarily the one that season 0 that was never dubbed, but who knows?
yeah, I always wish that was dubbed. It's so dark.
Yeah. Anyways, your last honorable mention?
Yeah, last honorable mention for me is Shimoneta, a boring world where the concept of dirty jokes doesn't exist.
I really thought about putting that on my list, but I'm just like, no, I don't want to. But go for it.
Yeah, so besides the fact that the that people can't express themselves at all, whether it's sexual or not in this world, is leads to people just going insane. I mean, like half the people in the high school are batshit insane for even the slightest hint of a dirty joke or something. So there's that, and just the idea of everybody being monitored no matter what you do, and you can't say anything. It's just, it's just not right. It's
Yeah, not to mention just we saw what happened. We saw what happened to Anna. Like the second because she suppressed all that stuff, and the second she got accidentally kissed, it all went out the window. Like her self control went all out the window. Not to mention, if I was in this world, I would never be able to eat cookies again.
Yeah, I remember kind of spoiling this for you, and it broke you that day. I think you literally paused it after the scene and got up and just left the room without saying a word.
Yeah. Normally, because here's the thing: you kept telling me, "Oh yeah, I've seen it," and I got like 4 episodes in. I'm like, "This isn't working. This is not working for me." Plus, even the good characters, like the characters who I guess are fighting for the side of good, they're a little too weird for me. Like the doctor girl might be the one person I might be able to get along with, and she's pretty strange. And it's like she's everybody in this world is just really perverted. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. You're allowed to have your fantasies, your whatever, as long as you're not actively hurting people. At the same time, though, I don't like either perspective. I don't like when they're super overt about it, and I don't like when they're like bottling it up or anything. It would not be fun for me.
Yeah, I kind of view it as there are jokes that you can say with your close friends and stuff, and then there's stuff you just don't say in public, and so there's a nice middle ground, and uh, they don't really mention it here because it's pretty much, you're right, it's two extremes. It's one, none of it's appropriate, so we're not talking about any of it. The other side's, we're going to talk about it no matter what you do. So yeah, and it's yeah, it's just not a good world, I don't think so.
Would you trust the cookies if somebody gave you some?
No, and the scary part is that there have been news stories that happen that have actually where this has happened. Yeah, it's really not appropriate. I'm not
Let's
going to break.
let's move on. What's my
So
so my last one for honorable mentions?
go right ahead.
Zatch Bell.
Okay.
Similar to Persona 5, so many things have to go right. Like they say, every 1,000 years, 100 Mamoto show up. To think that I have to be in the exact right year, you're like, I can't die, I can't not be born or anything like that. And a Mamoto 100, which seems like a very, very low number, or of Mamoto have to show up. And eventually it gets to the point where let's pretend that just magically happens. I get my own Mamoto, or maybe I am a Mamoto myself. If I have to fight people, some of which are my friends, and the idea of getting stronger and bonding with other people, that's cool. I'm okay with that, which is why it's an honorable mention. At the same time, though, at some point when my book gets burned, I'm done, or my Mamoto is done. And even if it gets to the point where it's like, oh, well, I want to become a king where we don't have to fight or anything like that, what happens then? What happens when the 1,000 years is up? Do you just go back down, but you don't fight people? It's a confusing concept. Not to mention spending all that time with one person just to say goodbye at some point. It could be a little disheartening, especially when you know that that person is alive and well, or even when you come back, they're not going to be there anymore. I don't know. Oh, there's a couple of bright spots, but overall, it's like I said, a lot has to go right. Like the planets really have to align for me to enjoy myself.
Yeah, and that's, you brought up a good point that I never considered. I mean, I don't, I never read the manga of Zatch Bell, so I don't know how the story actually ends or if they ever actually finished the full story.
They did.
But if Zatch becomes king, he still has to leave. And I mean, all his friends, and I know they're probably going to make it kind of a sappy ending where, oh God, what's it? What's the guy's name again? The main black
Kyo?
hair guy? Kyo has made friends with other humans and is probably happy with them now, but rather than his previous jerk self that he was. But
Yeah.
yeah, just that's really sad now that I think about it. It's like, okay.
I didn't mean to depress us here. Can I
Uh,
wait? Can I bring up one point that would actually be a saving grace to be in this show with these characters?
Go ahead.
We could go to a full Gore concert.
Well, that is true, and that is amazing.
Yeah. But overall, that's why it's an honorable mention, because I can think of some bright spots. But overall, like, I don't think it'd be worth it in the long run.
Yeah, I can agree. I mean, the fear of losing a close friend through battle or still having to say goodbye at the end of the entire Mamoto War. Yeah, yeah, that I could see where this comes
Yeah,
from.
not to mention, like I was saying, like what happens, like if everything's peaceful and it's like, okay, we don't have to fight anymore. When the 1,000 years is up, do they go back down there? Do they just decide, no, let's just stay here? Are more Mamoto born? It's a there are a lot of unanswered questions about Zatch Bell. If only it would come back, which apparently people keep rumoring it might come back one day, but I'm not holding my breath.
They've been rumoring that since like 2012 when when it was officially canceled in the English dub.
Oh yeah, but there's like there's merch being released. There's a lot of evidence pointing to if it's gonna happen, it's happening sooner rather than later. But
That
who
would be
knows?
nice.
If it's ever announced, we'll gladly talk about it. But what's your last one?
All right, so my final one is Plunderer.
I
I've
remember you
only
talking about this show.
so I, I think there's more to the manga because I think the story continues, but I've only seen the anime, and it is really a messed up world. So pretty much this, from my understanding, an alien AI crashes to Earth. One group of people collects it. It's for some reason Earth's resources are pretty much at the breaking point. There's not enough for everybody, and there's pretty much micro wars breaking out between it'd be like Georgia versus Alabama for a food source. Like that's kind of what's going on. This group who's got the AI keeps fighting, trying to protect their faction. They end up using the AI to gather all the resources into a floating continent where pretty much their people live free in kind of a medieval style swords and sorcery world.
Oh, Reese would do great in that.
And they get to prosper because there's a population control where if you have everybody's given a number, and based on some action you can gain numbers, but you can also spend the numbers to buy goods, or other people can take your numbers if you lose to them in battle. And if your number hits 0 or goes into the negative, you're dragged down to just what's left of Earth, where there's little to no resources, and the people are starving to death, and it's not a good world.
I notice a lot of your worlds are depressing, and a lot of mine are just petty. Like oh, I wouldn't want to live there because screw that person, or I would just be bored. Yours are all very depressing, which is weird because I feel like the world in our world is getting closer and closer to that as we speak.
Yeah, unfortunately, it feels that way.
Yeah, but I can co-sign. I feel like you said this would make a good live action movie.
Yeah, there's not too much that would need to be CGI because most of the characters are just regular people. They use swords and stuff. As I said, there's a few people that use something like magic, but there's still guns and stuff. It's kind of a mixed fantasy. As I said, it takes place in like 500 years from now. There's where pretty much resource wars have happened, and then all the resources are gathered up by this alien AI
Well,
for
to
a
be
select
fair,
few.
well, if it makes you feel any better, we'll both be gone by then.
True. True.
Yeah, but I can co-sign onto that. I can understand your feelings about that.
All right, and your final one.
I'm so proud of myself because I've been incorporating more anime we've never talked about, and this is one I would not be able to live in World's End Harem.
Okay, I don't really remember this one.
Okay, it's relatively new. It's a relatively new show. So here's what happens for those of you who don't know. The main character gets inflicted with this disease, and they basically put him away for like 5 years in order for him to recover for it. Meanwhile, this disease has killed a good majority of people on Earth, but it's only killed the men. Yeah, I know a lot. I know there's a lot of like hateful people out there with like, isn't that the good thing? Like, no, shut up. But here's the thing. He comes out and it's just him and all women left. So let's think about it this way: if I'm one of the men, I'm dead. So there's not a whole lot of fun or rampaging to be had. And if I'm the guy, or like maybe it's just me and him that's left, I don't know, because one of the characters puts a lot of pressure saying, hey, we need to rebuild the population. That's not going to go well. And at some point, I'm like, is that all we have to do in this world? Or like, can I just chill and watch some wrestling or something like that? I don't know. It would be far too much pressure to rebuild the human population. Like, that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody in more ways than one. Not to mention, for me personally, would be like, we need to rebuild, we need to bring humanity back from the brink of death. I'd be like, no, we do not deserve it at this point. I'm just going to let this world go.
Yeah, it never seems to work out, because I know they've done like live action versions of this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And there've been comedic versions which might work. I think works the best.
It is. The one comedic version I've seen still wasn't my favorite.
Yeah, it's. I know there was one that just got canceled that was like this exact same premise of there's like one guy in the entire world left, and like different factions of women are fighting over him or something. I know it was canceled like recently.
I don't want to say good, because I don't want people losing their jobs or anything like that, but it doesn't seem like it'd be something for me. I don't know. And plus, it might just be one of those shows that I don't feel like I'll ever fully like, because the idea of just killing off a certain group of people when the history of our planet has kind of been built on trying to get rid of a good amount of people, I don't know. It hits a little close to home, and I just wouldn't be cool with it. Although I will say there was one funny thing I saw about it that somebody edited. Like, there was a girl saying, we need you to rebuild the population. And the guy says, but I'm a JoJo's fan. And then the woman's like, never mind.
Oh God, no! But in all honesty, I do agree. It is a lot of pressure to put on a single person, and I maybe I could see it working okay if it was very comedic, and or if they had some other thing going on that just caused like a more to make it more of a comedic series. But it doesn't sound fun.
Yeah, not to mention, even if like I do have offsprings, eventually they're gonna run out. So then it's too weird to think about, and it's kind of gross to think about at some point. So I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, I'll just co-sign. It doesn't sound great.
Yeah, but those were our picks for more worlds we did not want to live in. And a lot of depressing ones, some comedic ones, and some are just, like I said, were just boring worlds we wouldn't want to be a part of. But like we said, we're also going to be doing a sequel to more worlds we want to live in, just because, like I said, it seems like that's going to be a little easier to talk about, a little easier to stomach through.
Yeah, and if there's a big world or universe that you would think needed to be on one of these lists, go back and watch the old video and see if it's on there, because we've had some other kind of messed up, boring, or just crazy worlds that we've talked about previously about this. So.
Yeah, but anyways, just let us know, guys. And like I said, there are more sequel lists coming out. Just kind of depends on what we want. Just kind of depends on the order we want to do it in. Probably won't be doing a list next week because of a different type of video we'll be doing, but I'm going to save that. We're going to save that for, well, when it actually gets uploaded. But Any final thoughts before we close out?
No, again, leave comment down below if you have a world that we haven't mentioned before that you would really think would be a hard world to live in, because there are a lot in anime.
Yeah, and don't just leave stuff that's depressing. Leave things that I like this anime and I like this world, but overall just would not work out. Just to make things a little more interesting. But anyways, we will catch you guys next time. This has been Alex.
And Richard.
And you've been listening to the Anime Egotists. Good night, and peace easy.